What's going on, people? Pascal here, back with another episode of Rona Report. In this episode, we're going to be catching up with Dr Adam Elliott-Cooper, who's a sociologist in Greenwich University who specialises in British policing and how it's affected minorities. Let's go chat to him now. Adam, thank you very much for taking the time out to chat to us. So starting off, please actually tell us, what do you do, and tell us your journey in education.
So I work in the sociology department at Greenwich University in South East London. And I guess my journey into education was, I started off doing a lot of youth work and that kind of stuff when I left school. And I was interested in working with young people, trying to think about social issues, political issues, that kind of stuff. And so I realised that policing and understanding how the police work and how we can resist policing is a useful way of understanding how the world works as well. And so I ended up going back to university and doing a PhD looking at anti-racist and black resistance to policing in Britain, both today and historically. And today that's what my research is about, and that's what I teach about to university students, but I also go into schools and colleges and youth clubs and run workshops on stop and search and police power and that kind of stuff as well.
That's really good, man. You studied in Oxford University, right? What did you study specifically, and what was it like studying in Oxford University?
So doing a PhD at Oxford University is not an easy place to be, particularly someone from a background like myself. There's not a lot of people who went to like a normal comprehensive school in London, or doesn't know anyone who's been to Oxford or Cambridge and done that kind of thing. But there was one Jamaican academic in the department, a woman called Patricia Daly, who was really supportive. She's from Hackney, my mum's from Hackney. They both went to Clapton Girls' School, and even though they didn't know each other, they had a similar kind of background, and so she kind of could relate to me and I could relate to her, and she was really, really supportive, and that was really important for me.
The debt associated with university, obviously, is quite high. £9 grand a year, that's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think people should still should that be a deterrent from going to university, or do you think people should still go to university?
The fact that you've got to pay £9 grand a year for university is it's travesty in this country, man. It's disgusting. And I was on the protests, and loads of other academics were totally against it. But I think what's also really important is that university is a place where we should make ourselves heard. We should make our voices heard. We should go there, take use of the kind of resources that you can get from there. You can take 3 years or 4 years out of your life to learn, to meet new people, to explore ideas, to join campaigns, to get involved in so much stuff that is really, really difficult to do when you're in the world of work. So I would really recommend, not just for what it might do for your career going forward, but also for the experience and the life lessons that you can get from going there in the first place.
So how have you been coping during this pandemic?
It's not been easy for anyone during the pandemic. My brother's an NHS worker, and he's contracted COVID-19. My mum's a frontline social worker, and she contracted it as well. So lots of my family members were affected by it, and someone I know has passed away recently. So it's not been an easy time, but it's something that we've tried to make the most out of, and having that time at home to spend time thinking, reading, writing, catching up with family who live abroad, all of that kind of stuff has been really important as well. So it's one of those ones where we try to make the most out of a very, very difficult, and for many people a horrible situation.
What advice would you give to young people who need to venture outdoors during this lockdown period?
Okay, so we know that there's been a lot more policing of our local communities since the lockdown has happened. We know this has taken place, and I guess there's maybe 4 or 5 pieces of advice I'd give to young people if they're going to be leaving the house. They might be concerned about how the police might confront them. The first is, before you leave the house, make sure you're sure in your mind your reason for leaving the house. So why is it that you've gone outside? Look at the laws, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, so that if you are approached by the police, you're clear and confident in answering their questions. I think the second thing that's important is that if you are confronted by the police, try to record as much of it as you can. Whether you record audio in your pocket secretly, or you record them out in their faces while they confront you, or after the incident, you make a voice note of everything that you can remember, or write it all down. That's really, really important as well. The third thing I'd say, that if you end up getting arrested, what's really important is don't get a duty solicitor. Make sure you ask for a police action law group like Bindmans or ITN. ITN's an easy one to remember, it's just like the news.
Yeah.
Try to remember ITN, so if you get arrested, don't get a duty solicitor, get ITN. And finally, anything that happens to you, report it to an independent organisation like Stopwatch or the Monitoring Group. If you search on Twitter or anything like that, you can find these organisations and they can help you challenge a fine or make a complaint or anything else like that.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
You've been very helpful with your advice.
Anytime.